Good afternoon. I'd like to call the March 11th, 2025 regular meeting of the Nelson County Board of Supervisors to order. We would please stand for a moment of silence. Mr. Rutherford, lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we'll start this afternoon's meeting with public comments. I have 4 people that signed up ahead of time, and after they have a chance to speak, if anybody else would like to address the board, they would have 3 minutes to do so. Starting us off is William Piercy.
He's not here.
You signed up and left.
Okay, if he comes in, we will bring him back. Judith Selzer. And Marta King.
I was going to say, good afternoon, I'm not Judith. Marta King, the past CEO of Java, and it's just my pleasure today to introduce Judith Selzer to all of you. She's joined Java about a month and a half ago, and we're delighted to have her, and so she's going to be presenting to you about Java this afternoon for a few minutes and about herself.
Thank you. Good afternoon and hello, I'm Judith Selzer. As Mark shared, I just started as CEO several weeks ago at the Jefferson Area Board on Aging. And it really is my honor to be here serving you all here in the community and of course following in the very big footsteps of Marta. She's been an amazing mentor already in these first few weeks. As you may know, Java is celebrating our 50th anniversary this year, and so I'm just so grateful to you all on the Board of Supervisors and the larger community for wrapping your arms around the aging community and those living with disabilities. You all came together 50 years ago with several other counties in the area in Central Virginia to create the Jefferson Area Board on Aging. And it is our duty to be here to make sure that nobody is left isolated without warm meals, without the care that they need, and we work every day to try to ensure that nobody is left behind and that we're serving the full community. And so I'm just really appreciative of the investment you've continued to make all of these years. I did leave with the team over there some booklets that they can give you later, with just showing some of the program outcomes from this year and where we are in our impact midway this year with the current year funding. And just wanted to share one quick story with you as a way of saying hello and introducing myself. As my first number of weeks, I've been trying to go around and learn about all of our programs and all of the needs of the community. And I asked for a couple of stories that just kind of sum up the way that it is people come to Java, the way it is that we serve and try to meet their needs. And I thought this story really was a good example of it. One of the many programs that you end up funding is our aging services coordinators. Think of them like case managers who are out here, like I said, to literally wrap their arms around our community members. So there was a couple recently in their 70s needing nutritional support and some home cleaning services. Our aging services coordinators was connected with them, went out and did a home visit, discovered that both were disabled and did not drive. They had recently started living just on the first floor of their home due to these disability and mobility issues. And it had become also a bit of a hoarding situation since they did not have the means to care for their home and themselves fully in this way anymore. So our ASC, our Aging Services Coordinator, was able to get them signed up for the home delivered meals, our mom's meals, and also connected them to our local Rotary Club here, who were able to come in and assist the couple with cleaning out their home to create a safer space for them. So that, I think, is just one example of what it is that we do. We not only provide our direct services, but we are that conduit, that referral network for those very warm connections to other organizations like Rotary and others who we can identify a need and then find other volunteers who can come in and really ensure, again, folks aren't isolated, they're not left in unsafe situations. So again, my pleasure to be here serving. If there's ever anything that you all think I need to know, make sure that I've got information about the needs of the community. I'll be regularly around, but always reach out at any time. So thank you.
Thank you, Judith. And thank you, Marta. Sorry that at this time next year we may not get a chance to see you, but you never know.
I'm going to say that.
Next we have Stephen Bain.
Stephen Bain, 620 Farnob Klein, Nellysford. Board of Supervisors, this is regarding the memo from the Berkeley Group included in the agenda and packet for today's meeting. The following is directly from that memo. Quote, Berkeley Group requests that the Nelson County Board determine the new districts to be drafted, end quote. This, of course, makes perfect sense, as the Board of Supervisors is the ultimate decision maker for Nelson County. In fact, the consultants could have done this sooner, including before Joint Work Session 1 on December 18th. Nonetheless, as for you all, as the ultimate decision maker for Nelson County, please do not limit your decision of new zoning districts to 3 as directed by the consultants. We know that the cost per new district drafted is negligible. We know that it is highly cost effective and far more efficient for the consultants to draft all new districts needed by the county. This is far too important a decision. We certainly do not want to be penny wise and pound foolish. Please direct the consultants to draft all new districts needed by the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Grace Puskas.
Hi everyone, my name is Grace Puskas and I'm with Blue Ridge Medical Center. I was previously our community health worker and I planned the 2023 Nelson Community Health Fair at the Heritage Center. And I'm now the director of our new AmeriCorps program, and I'm excited to introduce this program to you all today. For those of you who don't know, AmeriCorps is a federal agency for national service and volunteerism. Their mission is to improve lives, strengthen communities, and foster civic engagement through service and volunteering. At Blue Ridge Medical Center, we have a public health AmeriCorps program with a mission to advance more equitable health outcomes for underserved communities and provide people the opportunity to gain on-site experience for future careers in public health. We currently have 4 members serving with us, and they're focusing on conducting social determinant of health screenings with our patients, connecting our patients to community resources, managing our food pharmacy, and doing data collection for us. We have summertime positions open with us, and starting in September, we'll have a year-long opportunity for anyone to serve with us. So really anyone that is over the age of 18 and older and is an American citizen is eligible to apply for our program. This means recent high school graduates, current or graduated college students, or anyone in the community who may just want to join the workforce. Anyone is able to join us. Lastly, I will say, why would someone join our AmeriCorps program? Members do receive a living allowance and an education award to put towards their tuition or student loans. This opportunity provides members with hands-on experience in medical, public health, data analytics, and psychology fields to put on their resume, helping them stand out from other applicants with both volunteer and field experience. AmeriCorps alumni are more highly recognized for federal government positions, And lastly, members will get to work with an awesome interprofessional team at Blue Ridge Medical Center while getting to make a great impact in their community through service. We are currently accepting applications for all 3 of our positions, and I've provided flyers with more information on the back table, along with my contact information. So I just ask that you please pass along this information to anyone you know who might be interested, and thank you for sharing this opportunity with others. Thank you.
Thank you. Did Mr. Piercy return? He's not here. Is there anyone else who would like to speak during public comments? Okay. Then I'll close the public comment period and move on to the consent agenda. Board, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Okay. Do we have any discussion on anything in the consent agenda? Okay, if not, we'll take a vote.
Mr. Barr.
Yes.
Dr. Lee.
Yes.
Mr. Rutherford.
Yes.
Mr. Reed.
Yes. Okay. Let's see. This is American Red Cross Month, and the board has a proclamation which we would like to put forth. And Dr. Ligon, if you could read that for us, please.
Nelson County Board of Supervisors, American Red Cross Month, March 2025. Whereas this March we celebrate the American Red Cross Month by recognizing the compassionate acts of people in the Central Virginia and by renewing our commitment to lend a helping hand to our neighbors in need. Since Clara Barton founded the American Red Cross more than 140 years ago, generation after generation has stepped up to deliver the relief and care across our country and around the world, bringing out the best of humanity in times of crisis. Advancing this noble mission, the volunteers, blood and platelet donors, and support who now give back through the American Red Cross Central Virginia chapter remain unwavering in their commitment to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of today's emergencies. Whereas their voluntary and generous contributions shine as a beacon of hope in people's darkest hours, whether it's delivering shelter, food, and comfort during disasters, providing critical blood donations for hospital patients, supporting service members, veterans and their families, saving lives with first aid, CPR, AED, and other skills, or delivering the international aid and reconnecting loved ones separated by global crisis. Whereas this work to uplift our community is truly made possible by those who selflessly answer the call to help whenever and wherever it's needed. We hereby recognize this month of March in honor of their remarkable service, and we ask everyone to join in their commitment to care for one another. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Nelson County Board of Supervisors do hereby proclaim March 2025 as Red Cross Month. We encourage all citizens of Nelson County to reach out and support this humanitarian mission.
Thank you, Dr. Ligon. Do we need to pass this?
Yeah.
Okay, then let
So
us.
moved.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Okay, we can do this by acclamation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, our proclamation passes. Thank you. Starting our presentations, we'll start with the Virginia Department of Transportation. Mr. Brown's here. Welcome.
Thank you, Chairman Reed. Just have a few things to report on before we get into some other matters. Right now, we are experiencing a tremendous amount of potholes and water breakup on our roads. We are continuously patching potholes and trying to arrest them as quick as we can, but it's an ongoing process, and hopefully with the winter weather, they will slow down. We are very fortunate that we've got a tremendous amount of new pavement on lane miles on Route 29 last year, the last 2 years, and that's making it bearable, but we do have some sections on Route 29 that, just is continuous, so hopefully that will slow down as the temperatures get warmer. I did receive a request, and I think it was Jesse sent that to us, some talk about a crosswalk on Front Street, pedestrian crossings on Front Street and Main Street. And we are looking at, we did not realize that there were no crosswalks in Livingston by now on. So we are going to look at installing crosswalks at Front Street and Main Street. We are going to have to do some work to see where to locate the ADA curb cut ramps. There's some out there, but they don't appear to be in the right place, or maybe that's the best place we could get them. But they're not right on the corners, so we're going to be looking at how to improve that. And also, I got a concern about a pipe on Laurel Road. I don't know if that pipe has been opened.
Okay.
It's draining, but it does need to be replaced. We have not begun our street sweeping. At this time, I saw some folks street sweeping up here in Livingston. We usually do our street sweeping in in April. We do plan on doing that, so if you get any concerns about sweeping the streets, we are going to do it. We are going to have to do it with state forces. In the past, we've had a contract for street sweeping, but I don't know if you've been following any news, but as far as our maintenance funding at VDOT, we are very strapped right now for maintenance funds due to all the hurricanes and in the winter, the cost of getting the snow off the roads and treating the ice. So we are really holding back on maintenance expenditures, not doing anything that we really don't have to do, but certainly addressing any safety sensitive issues, we will always do those. But like pipe replacements that can be delayed until next fiscal year, we are delaying some work that's not safety sensitive. So hopefully our financial picture will improve when we get our new funding in July. But other than that, that's about all I have as far as what I would like to report on. Any concerns today?
Mr. Pearl?
Last month I mentioned that culvert on Lowesville Road. You weren't here last month, but I just wanted to bring it up again. That driveway from a few years back that the culvert got replaced, you recall?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the big culvert.
Yeah. It's apparently not quite big enough for the amount of water that comes through.
Ooh.
It washed out again. I guess it's been 5-6 weeks ago now when we had that big rain.
Have we, was it open, was it open and functioning fully, or do we need to
Yes.
look at it?
No,
to see?
I think what Jeremy's thinking about doing is trying to clean that area up above the driveway,
Yeah.
going through all those scrub pines and all that to see if that helps. But
So
just
you
wanted
talked to Jeremy about that?
Yes, sir.
We'll take a look at it. It may be that we need to do that and perhaps do some work on the inlet and outlet ends where it reaches its maximum hydraulic capacity and not have debris be restricted due to debris getting stopped up there.
And the culvert, the resident there is back to having inch boards to drive across.
So we haven't backfilled it?
It washed out when that last storm, and he's got
We'll
boards.
get some, we'll make some temporary repairs.
Thank you. That's all I have.
I had gotten several emails about the flooding in Gladstone on the first storm, not the second storm. And residents there had water. They couldn't park their cars along the street and things. They were concerned about that, and they were just wondering.
Where was that at?
In Gladstone, proper in the town, with the one street.
I do not know what we can do to fix that. I mean, all that drainage goes under the railroad. They did open one of those culverts a few years ago but down there where those drains are, I cannot help anything until the railroad restores their drainage across that old lot. So there's nothing. In fact, that drainage is, you know, it's not, I won't say it's not, I don't think it's even on the right of way. The railroad put that drainage in. You know, we went down there last year, we tried to open it up last year or the year before, open it up as much as we could, but we're really out of lost doctor because it's gotta go across the railroad property to find an outlet to get positive drainage. Mike can talk to our rail division, some of our people talk to rail divisions, but I know the last time the residents down there, you know, Mr. Brown, he was able to get CSX to come down there and clean that out. And one pipe, one culvert closer, I guess farther north, instead of the south. This is on the south end of Gladstone. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what we can do, but we'll work on it.
Okay.
Yes. One of my points I'm going to say for the 6-year plan work session, but the first one, I've interacted with some of the surrounding board of supervisors, and they had indicated some rules are changing related to smart scale. I know you'd indicate you don't have anything. I just wanted to put a bug in your ear to see if you might be able to see what the details are and what that might look like for us.
I mean, each year they revised
Sure.
I mean, ever since Smart Scale became the avenue for localities requesting construction projects, the rules have been changing every day, tweak them. I will find out specifically what the changes are and report back.
It sounds like the indication that I had heard was that it was largely monetary related. In other words, there might be some requirements for local participation if any smart scale projects do come to fruition. But I'm just going off of a 5-minute conversation with some board members, so I figured I'd ask to see what the actual specifics were.
I will check into that. That's not,
Yeah.
but they have been tweaked every year, every round. Their
Yeah.
rule changes. So I mean, this is nothing.
Sure.
No.
Now, just the monetary impact, if they're requiring localities to start ponying up, that'd be something for us to be cognitive of.
I mean, like,
I hope they're completely wrong.
I had not heard that they were going to, that Smart Scale was going to have a match.
Okay.
I think, now, it's always been, if there were local funds, localities to put in local funds to make a project score better, that's always been there.
Sure.
I mean, you take some of the larger projects in Lynchburg, it's local
I see.
money.
Okay.
They put in a lot of local money, and
Yeah.
it makes the cost benefit ratio more attractive, and its project scores better.
Right.
That's been the biggest benefit, or how it affects it. But I'll see what it's
Yeah,
about.
that'd be great. Just some clarity on that would be wonderful. Other than that, thank you on taking care of Laurel. And I did have one road I want to bring up in 6 years when we get there. So,
Okay.
Okay.
I guess I did bring up last meeting, I hadn't run into Lonesome Pines. I don't know if
Oh,
that
right.
got forwarded to you or not.
So
There's
what is that road number? It's off of Naked Mountain.
It's a gravel road with immense amounts of potholes and bad drainage.
Oh, Warminster?
No.
Lonesome Pine. Isn't
Lonesome
that?
Pine, yeah, it's Lonesome Pine. It connects to 639 and Naked Mountain Lane.
So Craigtown, Naked Mountain,
Yeah.
and then it veers off Lonesome Pine.
If you hadn't driven there, you won't know where we're talking about. It's in Shipman proper.
So it's an unpaved road.
Correct.
It's got full of potholes.
Yes.
Lots of piles.
A lot of potholes. If you could,
I'll send
if
it.
you, when you have a little more time, send me something.
I'm gonna do it right now.
Thank you.
Okay, and I have nothing else, so.
Okay. All right.
Are you going to stay here for the next presentation? You're giving
I think
it?
I'll stick around.
Are you giving it?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Okay, well, let's,
Let's jump in.
this is the,
I've got my.
Six-year plan
Jeff
work
was here last
session.
month, Right? You know, Jeff said he's one of my assistants, and, he just, glad he's here today, he can help me if I get off base. All right, yeah, this is a time of year where, you know, we revise our secondary road 6-year construction improvement plan. And we usually have a work session, and that's what this is here today. And, you know, not a lot has changed. This year, the allocations seem to be going down, and they keep pulling a little bit of money away from our unpaid road funds. But in FY26, and that's really the first 2 years of this plan are really the only thing that really, I'm not gonna say the 4 out years doesn't matter, but, you know, the programming, the funds in the first 2 years, that's really what tells us what we're gonna build and what we're not gonna build as far as hard surfacing unpaved roads. And you can see the allocation, the projected allocation for FY26 is $454,996, and that is the same for the first 4 years, and then, well, it's really the same throughout the years. But I think that allocation has been reduced. That draft right there, but it'll be close to that. Sometimes when we get the actual allocations, it's a little bit less. But we have not received the allocations for the last year of the plan, which is FY31, which hopefully there'll be something similar. But really, what we're looking at this year, you see in one of the first columns after you, kind of in the middle of your page, it says previous year allocations. That is money. We've got 3 projects that have previous year money on it. And that is money that was programmed in these projects last year in FY 2025 that has accumulated. And those are the first 3 projects in the plan. And they are 623 Davis Creek, 646 Honey Lodge Road, and Route 674 Jennings Creek. We are on schedule to reconstruct and hard surface these 3 projects this year. So we really don't want to do anything with these 3 projects. And you see on Honey Lodge and Jennings Creek, they are not completely funded through previous allocations. So in FY26, we'll be finishing the funding on those 2 projects. Then also in FY26, we will start funding Wheeler's Cove Road. And it appears based on the allocation that we'll be able to put $59,401 on Wheeler's Cove Road this year and complete funding in FY27, which hopefully, that will be the only, unless something changes, that will be the only unpaid road we build and get really calendar year 26. Going on down, we see Fort Mountain getting some money in FY27. We might be able to do that in FY26 after July 1. And then so on, you see the funding scenarios. You got Fort Mountain Road, you got Berry Hill Road. Now, our number 7 priority, last year, if some of y'all remember, we had some discussion about Gulliesville Road last year. We changed that priority and moved it to a lower priority because there was some question, did we really want to do that? And I'll just give you a little update. Probably 5 or 6 years ago, we had some serious drainage complaints over here. We went in and did some drainage work, and part of that drainage work was the hard surface part of that road. So you see on Gulliesville Road, it says it's 1.27 miles in length. About 6/10 of that mile coming off of 6/10 of a mile of Gulliesville coming off of Adel is already hard surface when we did those drainage improvements. So the only section remaining is about a 6,700 section beyond where The houses already goes back to the farmland. I don't know if you all want to continue with this project. It's not a lot of, it's not any houses back there, if I'm not mistaken. There may be a couple property owners, but I don't know if you want to keep us where it's at or not. And that, you all can make that decision. I'll do whatever you want to, but it really, in my mind, it would be my recommendation to move us down, and let's put that money on some projects where that are
Got some
more
traffic
critical.
count.
Traffic count,
Yeah.
more critical.
I think that's valid. Because Gulleysville really doesn't have that many people that far down.
It doesn't,
Yeah.
which is why we moved it down last time.
Yeah, we've hard serviced it past the last paved driveway.
Yep.
So, I mean, so whatever y'all want to do with that, y'all can let me know. And then we have Buffalo Station Road. That's a good project. Walk Around Lane, that's a good project. We got the remainder of Greenfield Drive. That would complete that road, which we've had 2 projects on Greenfield, I think. And then we have Eagle Mountain. I think that was added last year or the year before. So that's what's in the plan, in the draft plan. Now, we have not programmed any of the FY31 monies, funds. And that brings us to your rural rustic priority list. That brings us to the rural rustic priority list. So, if the board would like to keep this priority that you all set last year, we can certainly do that. If you want to add roads and change priority, that is certainly your decision. I know, in FY31, we would pull, like I said, if our allocation in FY31 is around $400,000, then we could pull a couple projects right here and get them in the plan.
Yeah.
We could put Tom's Lane and Spring Valley Road in the plan and fund them mostly. That would be according to the priority that you all set last year, and that's generally what we do. But this right here, this can be any way you want it. If you tell me you want to change this priority, you certainly can do that, and we'll add about $400,000 worth of projects in FY31 to finalize the draft of the 6-year plan if you keep it as I presented it. So that's kind of what we've got here. It's not the plan that we used to have. We used to, when we first started getting secondary road construction money, we were getting $800,000-$900,000 and doing 7-8 miles of these roads a year. And that's changed. So now we get maybe 2 miles. That's just how things have changed. But I know, does anyone, like I said, this is a draft. Is there any additions you would like to make to this list? Any of you can start? We tried, I know we added South Powell Island and Pigeon Hill at the request throughout this year. Any others?
So I'm going to concur with Jessica on this. Lonesome Pine does have a pretty dense population that lives on it, so that's one to look at. 2 others that I think would be important to look at is Quarry Hill Lane, and that's off of 800 in Schuyler. And then there's a second one, and I know we're doing Hunting Lodge right now, so we kind of have to do Hunting Lodge before we do the next road. But at some point, Warminster, which doesn't have necessarily a huge population that lives on it, it's a pretty high traffic area, especially hunting season and people in that area. But I would like to see, with Hunting Lodge being completed, to complete that circuit, which I believe connects to 626.
It connects to,
Cabell Road.
Yeah.
It connects Hunting Lodge to Cabell.
yeah.
So I'd like to see Warminster after Hunting Lodge. That would be a good connector over the next several years after that. 'Cause
I know last year we had quite a bit of problem on Finley Gap Road. Is that still a priority?
Well, I was interested in the money it would take, just because if there's development of the county land, I was just trying to wrap my mind around the whole project. Because there's substantial amount of work that would have to be done, in my opinion.
You know, when we talked last year, we were talking about coming off of,
Keys Church.
Keys Church Road, doing that section down to where the outdoor park was being considered. Is that still on the board's mind?
It's still on the, it's still gonna happen. We're looking at getting a survey done within the next year and then making some decisions on how to move forward with it.
Okay, so, right now, if we had those 4 roads, or if there's any more roads, be thinking about where you want to, you want to give me some direction on where to put these at. You can certainly do so. And, I know we've got Pigeon Hill and South Powell, I mean, they're 1, 2, 3, 4, but this priority is,
That can change.
it can change. I mean, I know Tom's Lane and Spring Valley, they were requested last year. Spring Valley, that goes to the widening up there on Roberts, right?
Yes.
Takes
Yeah.
Finley Mountain to get to Finley.
Right.
So, but as far as Pigeon Hill, South Powell Island, I mean, you tell me how you want me to prioritize.
Well, we
these.
have over the year, we can decide that, or do you want it by April?
Well, I
Maybe
mean-
for you.
I really need, we don't have to program any in FY31, but if you want to prioritize the first 2 or 3,
Yeah, I want to agree with Dr. Ligon. Finley Gap Road would be a good one to start doing some piecework on. So,
I mean, because, right now, if we, on the new plan, that's in the 6 year, that's 6 years out.
mhm.
Well, the way things have been moving, that
6
sounds
years
about
out, I
right.
mean,
Yeah.
what, as far as your plan for the recreational park is, kind of time frame y'all have, you may,
Yeah, we don't have a timeline right now, but it's possible that, once we get a survey done and take a good look at it, we might want to move it around next year at this time.
so maybe maybe that's your number 1 priority on your unpaved road list.
I would like to see South Powell Island still stay kind of a priority.
Yeah,
There's
a lot of people.
a tourist situation there, and it's a bad representation of Nelson County, in my opinion.
Do y'all want to talk about this and
Probably.
let me know?
Yeah.
I really, see, the only reason I really need to know, I mean, we don't have to program anything this year. For FY31, we can show that as a balance. And we can program it next year, but we can get into it next year. But if you all want to consider your priority on this,
Are you gonna get back to us on those other roads we just mentioned? Warminster, Quarry Hill Lane, and
you
Finley
know,
Gap?
Lonesome Pine, Corey Hill, Warminster, we can look at those.
Finley.
And the biggest thing is that they have the traffic count. They have to have 50 vehicles per day to be eligible for unpaid road funding.
Yeah, these ones should be fine.
Well, that's where Finley Gap would fall off.
Finley Gap, yeah.
You'll Finley Gap?
Well, I'm saying, I don't know that
the
it has
metric should-
50.
50 cars a day.
During hunting season, it does.
So come in
Oh,
December. We'll put it on the list and we'll time the counts of the cars, okay? For hunt season.
okay.
Do you need to know now about the Gulliesville lane
Pardon?
going back?
I mean, I seriously think we could move Gulliesville back and then either put in, I mean, we got some pretty heavy hitters in here. I mean, Pigeon Hill's a big one, South Powell's a really big one.
Really, Buffalo Station's a big one too. There's a lot of cut-through traffic on that road.
Which one?
Buffalo Station.
Yeah, Buffalo Station is, that would be a good one to do.
Yeah.
And, Greenfield, we did the first half a mile and it didn't, I think, at the time we did it, we got it to the last house. I mean, Greenfield's on down it's a 2-mile project and it's $450,000, but
Yeah, you know, there's not much going on in my district. We've got Berry Hill there. Moving Gulliesville down is fine with me. I have no problem with that
that's
because.
in your area, right?
Right, yeah,
Okay.
but we could certainly move that down and get some of these other areas prioritized. I'm
I
happy
would,
to do that.
say, I would almost like to see one of the ones that we had just named moved into this list if we can. Like, whether that's Lonesome, Warminster, or the other ones, because those ones serve a pretty large constituent population. Definitely Lonesome.
Yeah, if you're going with constituents, Lonesome Pine.
Lonesome Pine's gonna hit a lot of houses.
How many?
I mean,
how many
it's
houses on
it's
that?
greater than 15, I would
So
say.
it should have a traffic count
It's
of
good, yeah.
well over 100 to 150 or
Yeah.
60.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, if we're gonna get at Gulliesville, I think if there's one that you could throw in there, that would connect the dot.
Do you want to bring it to the top of this list, or do you want to,
Lonesome Pine should probably go in the front of replace Gulliesville and put Gulliesville on that list.
okay,
Yeah.
now let me ask you this, Jesse. I don't know who requested Buffalo Station, that might have came from VDOT, but I do know that Walk Around Lane, that was requested by citizens.
Yeah,
I don't-
and it's been on there for
It's
a
been on
while.
there for a while. I'm
And it's
just
kind of low-hanging fruit. I mean, it's a
It's-
small section, it's not a big budget.
6/10, I mean, I'm just saying in the past, you know, we worked off of people's requests and we didn't push roads back once they were requested by citizens. So I'm just, that's kind of a comment, not a.
The walk-around also, at its current state, requires a lot of maintenance with grade and work because of the washouts and that getting some surface treatment on it would solve.
I could see, and this is just, and then again, Eagle Mountain, I mean, see, that's a half a mile road, I don't know,
That's an extremely trafficked area.
yeah, I mean. I mean, I don't know that, are y'all getting a lot of feedback from the Greenfield folks?
I don't know.
721?
No. No.
I'm not.
Greenfield this is not the Afton Greenfield, this is, it's Gladstone.
I hear more about Buffalo Station than Greenfield, but
We could replace Greenfield with Lonesome.
Well,
I'm gonna go drive
let me
it.
ask you this,
Lonesome? Or
No.
Greenfield?
Chairman Reed, do you want to take Gulliesville out of this plan?
I'd like to drop it down,
Okay,
and we can, you know, we can put it under, 2030,
Well-
and then we can,
if you all want to do this, let's drop Gulliesville down toward the bottom. Let's move Greenfield down toward the bottom. And we can move the ones that were requested by citizens up to fill those spots. And then we put in Lonesome Pine. Then we put in Lonesome Pine. And then just we need to be thinking about Finley Gap, because I mean, this is 5 or 6 years out.
yeah.
And if y'all develop that park down there, we don't want it to still be on this list.
Yeah.
I want to develop the park and you say, Mr. Brown, what are you gonna do? You'll say, well, I'm not gonna do anything because I don't have any money to do any construction money, and I won't have maintenance money to do it. So, I mean, that's just a suggestion.
Yeah.
We gotta start somewhere, Jesse.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to get Finley Gap on the list, for sure. I have no problem with Lonesome Pine, and I don't have any problem with, dropping Greenfield down.
So where are we at with this list?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I just wanted to note for the record that we have gotten some citizen emails asking about Green Creek Road and Carter Road.
Green Creek and Skylar?
Green Creek off Buck. Is it Green Creek off Buck? Or is that Green Lane?
Yeah, there's Albemarle, well, Green Creek runs to both Albemarle and Skylar. So one of the, yeah, this is recent, so I don't know if this is accurate yet, but I think Green Creek, which runs and connects to.
That runs into Albemarle County.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like split.
Yeah, that's down.
Green Creek Road in Fauber.
Yeah, no, that's
That runs into
Skylar.
Albemarle County.
Is that mostly Albemarle or is it pretty much?
Yeah.
I think it's like
It's not a lot
two-thirds.
in Nelson, it's,
As I say. The only thing I'm mentioning that is if Albemarle was supposedly planning on potentially paving their portion of that, and it would make a lot of sense if we're talking like 2/10 of a mile, connect that dot.
I am sorry that I don't know the exact length. I want to say it's less than a half a mile.
Of Nelson. I believe that, because most Green Creek folks on Albemarle. But if they are going to be paving that portion, it would probably be pertinent for us while they're there
Yes.
that we finish that last, whatever it is. I don't know how that will work with this schedule, but it would make a lot of sense for us.
Let me talk to the resident engineer in Charlottesville.
Also, yeah.
Let me talk to Ms.
It comes this side to
Ms. Shepherd.
Yeah,
She can give an idea of where that's at.
because that would be, yeah, if they're gonna be paving it, we need to either cut a deal with them to finish paving it all the way, or,
What was the other road? Green Creek and,
Carter Road.
Carter Road.
Scholar.
Oh, yeah. That's a fun road. I don't know what the traffic count is. I don't know how many people even live down that one.
Yeah, we don't have that information.
Yeah, as I say, I think there's only like a couple people who live on that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't,
You could get it for information purposes on Carter Road.
I'm sorry I didn't bring my traffic counts with me.
All right, so did we confuse you enough on what we're doing?
No, I'm just going to kind of go over and summarize what I think we're thinking.
Okay,
We're not gonna take Gulleysville out the plan, but we're gonna move it down to the bottom of the current, of the plan. We're gonna move Greenville down toward the bottom of the plan. And then those that are, that means that, Buffalo Station, Walk Around, and Eagle Mountain, they will move up and fall in ahead of those two projects. And then we want to interject, Lonesome Pine and Finley Gap
right.
below that. And if they can go into the plan, we'll get them into the plan. If not, they'll go on the top of they'll go on the unpaved road list below Tom's Lane and Spring Valley Road. Is that a fair statement?
That works for me.
I think that sounds good.
Yeah.
And then you'll come back to us with the rest of those roads.
And again, we can change this anytime. We just have to have public, and I don't know, we have to have public input, but it's always good
Yeah.
to do that public hearing, that way people have a chance to. This right here has to go before, the 6-year plan has to have public comment. So,
Do we have to make a motion as he's amended it?
Yes.
Okay, because it's not going to be approved till our next meeting anyway.
Right.
Mr. Chair, if you're prepared for a motion.
I am.
Chair, I move we approve Resolution R 2025-15 as amended and worked through today.
Do we have a second?
I'll
For
second.
Public hearing, that is.
Yes. Okay, any more discussion?
Mr. Parr,
Yes.
Dr. Lady,
yes.
Ms. Rutherford,
Yes.
Mr. Reed.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thanks for working that out for us. Appreciate it. You too.
Oh, Robert, real quick, one question. As it relates to smart scale deadlines, is that coming up next year?
Yes, this year we are doing revenue sharing applications this year.
Right.
And that early submission requirement is fast approaching, if you had any idea, especially for any of you folks that want, for these homeowner associations that want
Yeah.
to consider a project,
Most of them have,
they've died.
yeah, came from a
But
fiscal.
that submission period, I think is from April to May 31st.
Okay.
Is the closeout date on revenue sharing applications. And just make sure, as you know, anything you want in your, for the next round of smart scale, that your comprehensive plan covers whatever you're gonna ask for. That's, and as well as any revenue sharing too.
When does the season start for smart scale applications? Is that end of this year basically is when people start identifying the intersections?
You need to start talking about it now
Okay,
with Rick Youngblood.
okay,
If you have a smart scale submission, to make sure it is supported by the proper traffic studies, by any study that's needed.
yeah.
And whether it's a traffic safety study or location and design study, or anything that would support it being a project.
Sure, and I'm going to continue to reference the stoplight location if we could figure out whatever safer mechanism, if there's a safer alternative that we can look at, if something exists that isn't too heinous for.
You mean right here in town?
Yeah, it's because we haven't had a death in a little while, which has been good, but.
You know, I would certainly, this is, we had our 29 quarter safety meeting.
Right.
One of the ideas that came out of that, and I've been asking about it, I would, Route 6 and 29 up at Woods Mill.
Yeah.
There is a lot of value in considering relocating the northbound to 29 northbound traffic coming out, going east on River Road to Charlottesville, to north, to use Tidbit,
Yeah.
to use some type form of Tidbit, and put that crossover, put the northbound traffic up there in the tangent section of Route 29
Yeah.
in front of the wayside.
I think that's a great idea.
I think that's something that would really
Yeah.
improve safety as much as we could improve it. I mean,
My office is in the triangle. of
Your office
Tidbit.
is in Triangle?
I'm the Camp Tidbit building.
yeah, okay.
So I get to see it all the time. And I've thought the same thing. You could make traffic go that way, enforce everybody to just head south
Yeah, and not have that,
across. So it's
because I mean, basically, that's what the R cut was gonna do. It was gonna prohibit that left turn going northbound coming out of River
just
Road.
make it go off a Tidbit, make the left go off a
Do it up a
Tidbit.
Tidbit, separate it, and that way you have a right only coming out of River Road at the current intersection location.
I always say if I'm coming this way to go to my office there on Tidbit, if I see a tractor trailer, I go to Wayside and do a U-turn.
Yeah?
It's a
Smart
heck of a
thing.
lot safer. Actually, a lot safer.
Yes.
So, but yes, I would be interested in that intersection, so I'll correspond with Rick some.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I believe Ms. Bishop would like to speak to the smart scale questions.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she has some information to share.
Oh, good.
Thanks,
Thank
Robert.
you. Thank you, Robert.
So I am our representative on the Rural Transportation Advisory Committee at TJPDC. We meet bi-monthly, so we're already beginning to have those conversations about smart scale, and Rick Youngblood's involved in that as
Okay.
well. Typically, we would look at, we had just adopted our new comprehensive plan in April, and we have priority transportation projects identified there as well. So we look at that, VDOT safety and corridor studies, so they can address this. So the scoring criteria is the big thing about what changed in this upcoming round, which I believe application starts in April of next year. So we do, if there are projects that you're interested in pursuing through Smart Scale, definitely reach out to me, and Rick Youngblood, we communicate over that, so. But the scoring criteria, some of the changes they made, my understanding was to make it a little easier for rural localities that don't have as established zoning and use regulations along these corridors to score higher to potentially get more funding, because the funding tends to go to a lot of metropolitan areas, so. That's my
Thank you.
input.
So, yeah, I'd like to interact some on the Livingston piece.
No problem.
And to add to that, we typically have Mr. Youngblood come and have a work session with the board on the smart scale projects that you want to prioritize for education. So.
Yep. Sounds great.
Okay. Candy, I don't know if this is out of order or not, but we received a response from VDOT about the possible traffic restrictions on 151 and Route 6.
Yes.
Yeah, should we report on that and let people know what came from that?
Yes, we'd like to right now. I don't have that particular email with me, but it was from Mr. Brown. He's already walked out, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. So VDOT did do a review of the potential restrictions, 151 and Route 6, and confirmed that those would not be feasible.
All right. Yeah, so I just wanted to bring that up to make sure that it was on record that we had gotten that. So thanks for bringing that up. Appreciate it. Okay. We've rescheduled from the agenda. The draft general fund budget introduction is now going to happen on Tuesday morning, March 18th at 10 a.m. at our work session. So thank you, Candy, for noting that. And so that brings us up to new and unfinished business. So first is the proposed appointment of a Wintergreen Fire Marshal.
This item was considered at the board's last meeting in February and deferred until today. And I believe the board was going to follow up with any individual questions they had with folks that would be able to answer those questions. I don't know if the board has any other questions for staff today or for Chief Sheets that's here in attendance. That would help you further consider this item, and whether or not you're prepared to discuss it further or consider it today.
Yeah. I don't have any questions. I'll open it up to the board in the event that they might.
Yes. It's just a couple points. Couple points I want to bring up. Obviously, I'm still going back and forth, and I understand our council has indicated that it can happen. Obviously, fire code is one of the mechanisms used that the fire marshal can utilize. We're all familiar with that. And Nelson County doesn't have a fire code. And so I'm just trying to understand bridging the gap of what mechanism are they able to enforce without us having a fire code?
My understanding is it's allowed by the Code of Virginia under regular code statutes outside of the statewide fire prevention code.
But what would they necessarily be enforcing if we don't have a fire code?
Well, everything that's in this resolution here that's allowed by 27-30 of the Code of Virginia.
So, yeah, and and part of the reason why I'm visiting this is just, I want to make sure that Nelson County is not taking on necessarily, I'm not calling this a liability, but in anything that we do in public safety, we always have to, one, make sure that our people are safe and have things like maybe it is fire marshal and whatnot accessible to them to have a safe society. also the county from a kind of a litigious standpoint. I understand there's this relationship we'll be able to have wintergreen where there'll be like this, the administrator of sorts over the fire marshal. And so I'm just trying to, I see it says he shall, these 4 points is essentially what you're pointing out that he's enforcing. He shall make an investigation, origin, cause of every fire explosion occurring. He has the authority to arrest, procure, serve warrants. So it's the same police powers as the sheriff, responsible for investigation and prosecution of all offenses. And he has the authority to order immediate compliance with law. So, law, is it what building code law or fire? Since we don't have a fire code, how can he enforce that law? Is just, I don't know if Curtis or Danny.
Sounding repetitive.
Yeah.
Because section 27-30 allows for that.
Yeah, but what is he enforcing?
He's enforcing the state laws of 27-30, which is.
Where's,
Sign that
do we,
code.
right over here, 2730.
So this resolution was written by Mr. Payne. It has been vetted by the county
Yeah.
attorney. It's chapter 3, local fire marshals, and title 27 of fire protection, which is not the same as the statewide fire prevention code.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
So investigation of fires. Fires.
And when the stakeholders group that met on this, which consisted of myself, Chief Sheets, Chief Russell from Wintergreen, Mr. Payne, Commonwealth Attorney, Mr. Sheriff Embry, and his major may have been there too, Major Metchie, and kind of hashed through all of this. Everyone left that meeting feeling completely satisfied, and everyone was on board with making this appointment.
Yeah. I mean, I had interactions with the Commonwealth's attorney, which you might be shocked.
I know, I believe this meeting may have followed some of those conversations,
Okay.
so I feel pretty certain in saying that Commonwealth Attorney Rutherford is comfortable with how this is
I don't-
written.
So his,
And he hasn't indicated otherwise since that meeting, so.
okay, well, I mean, and one of the conversations that I had with my brother is he references the fire code piece, and he was still concerned about what that delicate dance is of when you don't, even though it allows for this exception, if you don't have that finite piece to then enforce it, you know, we could be getting into some gray area in that. And again, I am ready, willing, and trying to figure out, I want to support this so that we have a safer community, so that our people have a safer act, have one more mechanism that exists to continue to have that. I'm just still trying to connect those dots, other than, I mean.
Well, I would say that a discussion that you have with your brother
Yeah.
is one thing.
Yeah.
But if Mr. Rutherford has any problems or issues with this, and he hasn't raised them, then, you know, with all the people that have worked there, I'd say that he probably does not have
So-
significant issues. He certainly had opportunities to.
Well, this board also hadn't interacted with him and asked for a direct comment from him other than that one meeting. So this was an inquiry from me, directly asking what that dance is from the fire code to here, because he is a resource. You know, as I kind of went into this and I looked just a little bit further, I did email the state fire marshal of Virginia just to kind of get some more area, and he had not responded back to me yet. But that's the biggest bridge that I'm just trying to understand is what authorities does he have? Because I know in referencing with, he gave a comment, Mr. Jason, when he was giving a comment how to inspect chimneys, I guess is that chimneys is an option within this code? It doesn't really, I haven't really had enough time to really procure and figure out what it says if it allows for a chimney inspection, because that was one of the things that it mentions. Is it more so if a chimney fire has happened, so it's a post thing, not a pre thing? Okay.
I mean, we certainly want the board to feel completely
Yeah.
comfortable with this, so whatever information you need further,
Sure.
whoever we need to bring here so they can answer your questions,
Yeah,
we're happy to do that.
No, and I'm pretty much there and ready. I just wanted the fire code dance, and I see this exception, and, you know, I want to make sure that they're able to enforce their the laws appropriately and easily. Yeah, Danny.
I'd like to add, I mean, we referenced the fire code.
Yeah,
The building inspector is already enforcing that to an extent.
right.
Everything all construction, sprinkler systems and
Well,
how to be all.
Yeah.
The code is there. It's just in what dynamic. This approach is a little different, but, for example, Margarita's, El Mariachi before they moved, that sprinkler system was horrible, it was a problem. We had nobody to go to that could go by there and tell them, it was not safe. They needed somebody to inspect it. There was no enforcement.
Sir, excuse me, sir, can you identify yourself? for the
I'm
record?
sorry, I'm Daniel Johnson. I'm a chief
Yeah.
of Livingston,
Thank you.
president
Yeah,
of Western
that's-
Services.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But, so there is already some enforcement, but it's very hard to do it that way through the building inspector. And when we go, for example, locking and all of that, the building inspector comes out and he inspects for the safety of those tents.
Right.
Fire extinguishers, all of that. So some of it's already being done. It's just not on the level that this would provide for the services that the
Right.
voluntary agencies and safety of other people need.
Right.
But
Okay.
that's not gonna help our county as a whole. I was under the impression this is staying at Wintergreen and Wintergreen only, so that example doesn't even apply here.
Technically, yes, but I think eventually some more enforcement, I mean, how do we get from Roanoke to a resource here when we can't do that now? I mean, where do we go?
We can't use an example that's outside of this resolution to pass this resolution. That doesn't sit with me well at
I
all.
understand, I was just, I
Okay.
mean, that's what we deal with every day.
Well, I understand that, but-
Enforcement on some level,
Yeah.
somewhere, you gotta
Yeah.
do it, so.
Yeah,
I say we wait for the fire marshal to email you back.
the.
You sent the whole,
Yeah, I
thing.
sent his an example. I did interact with Jeremy just on how to word this properly and the dance between the code official and this. And, if he could maybe more better articulate what he is and how he is different, because you're exactly right. The building, when a fire happens, the building official does have the right to come in and do his thing. And I've unfortunately been part of that a couple times. And I've been on the other side of, I've got to see fire marshals on job sites when, we were blowing seed and straw and a spark hit some straw and it got real hot real fast. And, that was an important experience because we all sat there and said, hey, don't smoke cigarettes while you're blowing a straw blower, and luckily no one was hurt and nothing bad happened with that. But I got to see that importance of that individual in those moments. It would be really great, and hopefully maybe he could even get something to us today. If we get a little bit of time, we can shoot him. His name is Billy Hux. I don't know if anybody knows him, but he's apparently the head of the state fire marshal entity, and I asked him just a couple.
That is whose office we utilize currently throughout the county, in the fire marshal capacity, of course, in conjunction with the building and inspections
Yes.
office,
Yeah.
building code official.
Yeah. Mr. Sheets, you want to?
Yeah,
I
sure.
just wanted, while I'm here, answer a couple of, so Mr. Hawks is who primarily has trained Captain Bean
Right.
to this point.
Good.
And to Jessica's point, I think absolutely correct. Bad example. In the conversations with the sheriff and the Commonwealth's attorney and others, there were comments that were made about in an extreme situation, like for example, a fatality or an obvious arson or something along those lines, where there was going to be a delay from state police or from the fire marshal's office, that through the mutual aid agreement that exists between the sheriff's office and Wintergreen Police Department, there would be at least an in-county tool. But it has been we've stated very clearly that we really do not want to be the enforcement mechanism for anything off the master plan.
No, and I understand that.
And I believe you guys were provided with a Q&A document that I prepared through the Chamber of Commerce, because there were people, obviously, if I'm in a business in Nelson County, I would be paying attention to this. And so we wanted to be very clear that this doesn't really affect anybody other than the resident. This is essentially the community of Wintergreen asking for you guys to help us create a safer community of wintergreen
Yeah.
using only wintergreen dollars. I think when you blow it up bigger than that, it starts to lose its perspective.
Right.
But this is no different than what Wintergreen Police Department is already doing.
Sure.
It just is gonna reach over into fire code a little bit.
Right, and now this,
And your brother was very clear
Yeah.
that he does not want to ever see tickets. He will not prosecute tickets for people who are burning in fire pits on days that we say are classified as a no-burn day. That would be something we would have to handle administratively
Right.
using the tools of our WPOA documents. But he's not going to prosecute that,
Right.
and we get it.
right, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think we're darn close to getting this figured out. If I could just interact with this chief fire marshal guy just a little bit to kind of bridge the gap a little bit on this, how this exception can exist and how they're able to do what they're doing, it would be helpful for me in justifying, and again, I love you guys.
Yeah.
And I've been a staunch supporter
I
from,
would say maybe we should bring Chief Hux and.
if he wants, yeah, if we could get,
To sit
if we could get
and
Hux,
just
yeah, if
have
we
one
could get,
session,
I think that'd be,
and
I mean, I
answer any
could,
questions.
yeah, we could make ourselves available for something like that.
Yeah,
'Cause-
there's no hurry now, we have another year.
So currently you have to wait one more year? Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So yeah, let's just do that, if that's okay, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
And I don't think it's necessary for the full board, probably just myself, you, or myself and Jessica, to make things easy for Hux and them to communicate with us.
Yep, I'll try and set that up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all about that, and, you know, I'd also like to meet Jason, Mr. Bean. I think I have met him.
Josh.
Josh.
Josh Bean, yes. Okay.
Okay, so we'll bring this back next month.
We're
Sounds good.
You might
In
want
the
to give
next
it
year.
more than a month.
Yeah, whenever.
Give it a couple months.
Yeah, I think it would be good for the board to, and the citizens to hear what Mr. Hux
Right.
has to say, his explanation of how this works.
Right.
So I would recommend having him come to a meeting to address that.
Okay.
And one more quick thing, Sheriff Embry, real quick. When it comes to like arson, and I'm sure Wintergreen can answer this too, doesn't state police in addition have like a fire marshal type arson team?
They have a bomb arson investigator, yes, so
Okay.
he's been to a special school.
Yeah, but that would be more like someone burnt down the house on purpose, not a chimney fire necessarily.
That is correct.
Right, okay. All right.
Okay. Okay, then we will move on. FY '26, the county health insurance renewal authorization. Candy.
I have a quick presentation on this for you all. This is pretty much an annual consideration for the board. We have to submit our health insurance renewal to the local choice by April 1st every year. We're very lucky this year. We have a 0% increase in our premiums. Our premium income at the current rates equals the anticipated income requirement through June 30, 2026. So no increase in premiums. We also have no change in the recommended, in our recommended plan offerings. We still want to offer Key Advantage 250, comprehensive and preventative, Key Advantage 500, comprehensive and preventative, and the high deductible health plan with the health savings account. Those are for active employees and retirees not eligible for Medicare. We do have a retiree Medicare plan called Advantage 65 that includes dental and vision.
Thanks. 0%.
This is our health insurance renewal analysis from the local choice. It just kind of runs through the income at the current rates as mentioned at 1.6 million. Shows all the expenses they expect throughout the year, which also equals to 1.6 million. So our percentage adjustment is 0. Okay. Our rates are based on the following plan enrollment. We currently cover county employees, Department of Social Services employees, and Service Authority employees. So this shows a breakdown of who's on what plan under single, dual, and family. We have a total of 119 that were considered in our rate renewal. As of March 10th, we have 151 eligible employees for coverage, and we have a total participation of 117 for a participation rate of 77%. These are just showing you the rate tables that are included in the resolution for your consideration. These are unchanged from FY '25. Okay. And our retiree Medicare plan at $218. And again, the plan rates are the same for retirees who are not eligible for Medicare as active employees. And then if you are eligible for Medicare, you have this $218 premium. Okay. I'm happy to answer any questions. And our staff recommendation is adoption of Resolution 2025-16, Nelson County Board of Supervisors, FY '26 health insurance renewal and establishment of rates as presented.
Okay,
I feel like this is the first year insurance stuff didn't go up.
It's been a while since we have had no increase.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
yeah. Any other questions for Candy?
Why do you think the adoption of the high deductible plan was so low?
I'm not entirely sure. I think that scares people.
Yeah.
And they're not used to having a health savings account in conjunction with that and how all that kind of works together. So maybe a little bit more education on that could help that. It's possible there may not be enough differential between the rates of the high deductible plan and the next lowest plan.
Yeah.
We might need to investigate that in the future.
Does it cost us to keep the high deductible plan as an option, or that doesn't, if we got rid of it, it wouldn't change? Okay.
Mhm.
Well,
Okay, would someone like to make a motion?
I move we approve Resolution R 2025-16.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for our healthcare renewal for FY '26 and the establishment of rates. Any further discussion? Okay, take a roll vote.
Mr. Rutherford?
yes.
Mr. Parr?
Yes.
Dr. Liggett?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So next we have the proposed amendments to Chapter 2, Article 4, Section 2-125, elections, terms, and vacancies.
Okay. This is basically a housekeeping matter to bring our code in line with the state code. So you have in front of you a resolution that would authorize a public hearing to amend our county code and the draft ordinance. This would pertain to Section 2-125, election terms and vacancies. And pretty much it changed just three words to make it line up with the state code. About halfway down in the paragraph, it says the deadline for filing declarations and petitions for a general election in November is by 7 p.m. It should now read, instead of the second Tuesday in June, it should read the third Tuesday in June. And then it goes on to say the deadline for a special election held to fill a vacancy, either one at least, it previously said 74 days, it should read 81 days before the election. And then further down, it reads in bullet 2, if the special election is being held at the second November election after the vacancy occurred by 7 p.m. on, it reads the second Tuesday, it would be changed to the third Tuesday in June. So fairly inconsequential, and it's just a matter of aligning our code with the state code.
Right. And if we want to move this forward, we have to authorize a public hearing.
That's correct, yes. And the public hearing would be held
April 8th?
April 8th, yes, at 7 p.m.
Okay. Okay. Any questions for Candy? Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve Resolution R 2025-17 to go for a public hearing.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll vote.
Dr. Liggett?
Yes.
Mr. Parr?
Yes.
Mr. Rutherford?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Candy. Next, we have a zoning and subdivision ordinance update.
Ms.
Ms.
Bishop will introduce that.
Thank you.
So I put together some slides to go through this, but essentially on February 26th, we had a joint work session with the Board of Supervisors and the Planning Commission as part of our zoning and subdivision ordinance update project. We had some time constraints due to Planning Commission being right after, so some of the planned discussion we were supposed to have wasn't able to take place. So basically the Berkeley Group is needing direction for drafting new zoning districts for the county, which is going to be the focus of our April work session. So we've been asked to discuss with you which 3 out of 5 potential new zoning districts that the board would like to see drafted. So comprehensive plan strategies, ways to implement new zoning districts, serving different land use objectives, calling out some of the strategies from our comp plan, evaluate current zoning district densities and adjust them to allow for additional housing in appropriate areas, discouraging ridgeline development to protect scenic view sheds, and continuing to support tourism industry while being mindful of over-tourism, diversifying tourism assets across the county to distribute traffic and prevent negative impacts to local quality of life. So the first of the potential drafts is a residential R3. It's intended to address our need for increased housing, availability and diversity in areas that are identified in the comprehensive plan as suitable for higher density development. It would provide opportunities for a larger mix of housing types, including single family homes, townhomes, condos, multifamily, which would better accommodate residents at different income levels and life stages. As I said, it would have higher density allowances, smaller lot sizes, allow for taller and larger structures. Development standards can be tailored to promote walkability, connectivity, access to other infrastructure. Implementation of this district would help the comprehensive plan's housing strategies and direct residential growth in areas where the infrastructure can support it. Now we get into potential overlay districts. First being a mountain ridge overlay designed to protect our vital and vulnerable natural assets, including steep slopes, ridge lines, ecologically sensitive areas. This district would include strict district and use standards to preserve natural landscapes, preventing erosion and deforestation, and protecting view sheds. Given our reliance on scenic tourism, outdoor recreation, and conservation efforts, this would serve as a critical tool in balancing development with environmental stewardship and would help us meet goals outlined in our comprehensive plan. Now we have a village overlay district intended to formally integrate the guidelines for our rural villages. That includes Arrington, Faubourg, Gladstone, Piney River, Schuyler, and Shipman on our future land use map.
Where's Livingston?
So Livingston has its own category.
Oh, you better. Of course it does.
So this district would establish zoning regulations tailored to the distinct character and development needs of these village areas, differentiating them from A1 and R1, which currently encompass most of these areas. It would allow a broader range of uses, increase density for housing, village-specific design standards, promote context-sensitive growth, preserving historic and rural character of the communities. Considerations could include mixed-use development, small-scale commercial uses to support local needs, and design guidelines that enhance walkability and maintain that village aesthetic.
Okay, can you go back?
Yes.
So, increase in village-specific design standards. We're not gonna have like an architectural review board or anything like that, right?
You can if you want to. That's not part of my understanding of the intent.
What that mean?
The intent is just to ensure that infill, redevelopment, future
Sure.
development fits in with the character, so maybe decrease setbacks
I
where
gotcha.
they're already closer
Right.
to the road.
I was just, yeah.
Yeah,
So I felt like it was the HOA and we had architectural review board there for a second, so.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is our future land use map. I just wanted to call out the village areas. So Jesse, as you mentioned, Livingston, Colleen, and Nelly's Ford, those have their own designations. And then these are village areas in the orange circles: Pioneer River, Gladstone, Schuyler, Shipman, Faubourg, Arrington. And this is how the base of the future land use map was developed. So in the first one, the gray is areas with slopes over 20%, which are steep slopes. Number 2, you add areas of high conservation value. Number 3, you add in flood zone. And then number 4, conservation areas and natural corridors land use areas. So you can kind of see on this map areas that have steep slopes. Now the wintergreen area, as you know, is not regulated by the rest of the zoning ordinance, so this would apply to the other areas. Other corridor overlay districts that are options are Route 29. Our approach to tourism-related development focuses on where it should occur and how to prevent overdevelopment in other areas. It would serve as a mechanism to encourage streamlined development of tourism-related business by lowering barriers to entry. Could include designating tourism-related uses as by right within the overlay, allowing greater lot coverage, providing flexibility in development standards to support businesses that align with our goals. 29, as you know, is a major gateway corridor for the county. It could also introduce enhanced design standards to maintain rural character, natural aesthetic. We could incorporate architectural and landscaping requirements to promote visually cohesive and high quality environment, reinforcing that positive first impression for visitors while protecting the scenic nature of the corridor. As you know, the topography is a big challenge, as well as the infrastructure, of course. Lastly, we have Route 151 Corridor Overlay District. Similarly, it would manage development along this roadway. However, unlike 29, which is intended to encourage targeted development, Route 151 overlay would emphasize preservation and stricter land use controls to mitigate impacts. It's already a well-developed area with a high concentration of businesses, particularly those relating to tourism and agritourism. It would introduce restrictions on certain types of development, ensuring that future growth is carefully managed. Regulations could include limiting types of uses allowed in the district, reducing lot coverage and building footprints, increasing setbacks and lot size requirements, establishing stringent use standards that would ensure any new development aligns with the county's long-term vision for Route 151. It would provide a framework for balancing economic activity with conservation efforts, ensuring that it remains a viable destination while avoiding risk of overdevelopment, traffic congestion, and loss of rural charm. This one, I have noted that the county did receive the Growth and Accessibility Technical Assistance Grant for $100,000 from the Office of Intermodal Planning and Investment, and that was in 2023, to develop a Nellis Ford Area Growth Management Plan, which I fondly dubbed NAGMAP. That includes public engagement. Unfortunately, due to community pushback, the county had to withdraw from the award. Staff would like to pursue reapplying for this grant in the fall of this year, which, if we get it again, would allow the county to facilitate a separate dedicated planning process in 26 for the Nellis Ford area. So Berkeley Group, based on public engagement, staff input, the focus groups, comprehensive plan, Berkeley Group's recommending R3 and Mountain Ridge Overlay District. Like I said, you need to choose 3 of the 5 to be drafted. Staff's recommendation is R3, Village Overlay, and the Mountain Ridge Overlay, and there you can see all the options. So once you decide, we'll present it to the Planning Commission at their meeting this month on the 26th to get their input and consent. Then Berkeley Group will proceed with drafting them, and we'll present the drafts to you guys and the Planning Commission at your next joint work session on April 23rd, which will be at 5 o'clock this time.
And you need this decision by April meeting?
Today. So originally in the first work sessions, these 3 were what we had planned.
Right.
R3 Village Overlay and Mountain Ridge Overlay. If you want to consider, and that's what our,
Goodbye.
so our scope of work has outlined 3 districts. If you want to pursue a work order amendment to add more districts, then we can get that as well.
Okay. if I remember correctly, at the last meeting, there was also an additional agriculture zoning piece as well, AR1 versus AC1 or something of that nature.
They may have reconfigured some of the existing
Yeah.
zoning
So that's
districts.
not related to this.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, these are new
New.
districts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely R3 and VO. I have no issues with those two. MRO, you know, basically with the MRO, is it going to be a similar zoning, so like a critical slope? Basically, Nelson County would have critical slope.
So regardless of the mountain ridge overlay,
Yeah.
the ordinance is going to address both steep slopes, 20%, and critical slopes, 35%.
Right.
So the mountain ridge overlay district is only for ridge lines with an elevation of 2,000 feet or greater.
Okay.
And basically, it's either the crest or the series of crests over 2,000 feet and 500 feet below that to the adjacent valley. So it's 100 feet from that top of the ridge line.
Okay.
Does one of those maps show that?
It does not.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious what that would
It
be.
How
shows
much of
steep
that?
slopes. I was not able to get a ridgeline map before today.
Well, I mean, you got me on R3 and VO.
I don't.
Yeah, I'm definitely in favor of the Mountain Ridge overlay. I think that's a key piece to this. I have another question, which has to do with a Route 151 corridor overlay. How would that play into the Nelly's Ford area growth management plan that you're proposing?
If we pursue the Nelly's Ford Area Growth Management Plan through the GAP TA program, then this would not need to be an overlay district drafted at this time. We would get through the area plan, which generates recommendations, and then incorporate them into the ordinance with separate public hearings
Right.
after the area plan
Right.
is adopted.
So the aspects of a 151 corridor could be included in that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Because, you know, it certainly makes sense that if we're going to qualify for the grant again, as we did before, that we'd be able to, you know, focus our energies specifically on the Nelly's Ford and 151 corridor area, and wouldn't have to pay for our consultants to do it.
Correct.
And have that kind of, you know, dealing with all the other overlays that they'd be doing at the same time, and be able to just, you know, focus primarily on the Nelly's Ford 151 area, right?
Right.
Okay, yeah, I'd be in favor of that for sure. I think that would be a really great way to
Well,
handle it.
since this was before my time, what was the public pushback the first time?
Urban, what was the thing?
So the
Urban-
state code has this lovely term
Urban.
called urban development area. And it is a horrible term because that is not at all the intent of the code. When it was initially adopted into the state code, the intent was for more urban development areas to promote growth. And over the years, as the legislation changed, they changed the purpose of it. So you can call these districts whatever you want to. Growth area, Nelly's Ford Area Growth Management Plan. But the technical term in the state code is a UDA or urban development area. So that term, once it, you know, got out into the community, kind of scared a lot of people, understandably. And we weren't able to get the public buy-in before the grant was issued. So in conjunction with the grant issuer, they had said, you know, make sure you get your public involved, even though that process includes its own public engagement aspect. Then we can revisit it. Like I said, they had already issued it, so the plan is already drafted and ready to go. It's just a matter of reapplying.
Yeah, and just so you understand, it's a planning grant. So what comes out of that is something that could be, like you said, incorporated into our ordinances in terms of
Correct, and we
out.
did have it delineated from Glenthorne Loop up to Tuckahoe Antique, and a certain distance on either side of that corridor.
Can we go back to the mountain overlay? Because that's. I wish we had a map on what percentage of the county that really involved.
'Cause it could, yeah.
I could get that, I can work on getting that information, and if it's under over a certain percent, could potentially look at the Route 29 corridor overlay.
Yeah.
Or like I said, if you want to do a work order amendment and add one, we can do that as well.
Dylan, were you able to determine potentially ballpark
Oh, the cost.
the cost of
Yes,
adding?
yes, so each district would be another $2,500.
Now, the question is also gonna come down to if we do the 151 overlay and not the 29 overlay, are we just kicking the can down the road to do something when we do the zoning remapping for Nelson? When we start looking at seeing if we're gonna rezone different places and areas.
That would be a countywide effort, so. we
So the
would look at
overlay
the-
wouldn't help in.
Excuse me. The overlay would be delineated through the zoning map update process, I believe.
Okay,
So we'd have the ordinance in place, then delineate those areas
yeah.
when we do the map update.
Well, if 151 gets overlay, 29 needs its overlay.
Well, remember, the intent is for Route 151
Sure,
to be incorporated
In
later
itself.
after we get the full area plan,
right, okay.
would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I think 29 could use an overlay for sure, to be more specific on things. I mean, it certainly
Yeah.
makes sense to me.
In my mind, you know, as we are gearing up to the completion of this and we will be doing figuring out the map, you know, I think it could potentially be at least one more tool echoed into it, but.
And there's also the school of thought that if you do a Route 29 corridor incentive overlay,
Instead of
that
the overlay.
it effectively would de-incentivize
The Livingston.
the Nellis Ford Route 151 area.
Right. So instead of doing both, you could just give me the 29 corridor.
Well, I don't think we're proposing to do both.
No.
I like the 29 corridor as well.
Yeah.
I do too.
Let's just do the 29 corridor.
But I would suggest we add that as opposed to
Yeah.
substituting,
Yeah.
swapping out or anything.
Thank you.
Is there a reason why they said 3 of 5? Is there something that contradicts another one in there? If we do-
That's just what we have scoped out
Okay.
in
our
our scope
original.
of work, in our original agreement.
So basically, if we add one more to it, it's $2,500.
Correct.
Okay, so
You could do that, or you could do R3 VO Route 29. I can get a map going
yeah,
for Mountain Ridge.
Sure.
And then you can decide if that's something you want to pursue. I think you need to pick the 3
sure. Right now.
priorities, and then the
Yeah.
last one we can pursue
Right.
a work order amendment if you want to after looking at the map.
Mhm.
Or you can just ask for a work order amendment, we can do 4.
I mean, I certainly would be interested in what the Mountain Ridge overlay is because the planning commission also needs to be cognizant of what percentage of acreage is being impacted by that. Because there's a lot of, listen, the shipment over here has some pretty serious mountains too.
There's, I would bet a lot of shipmen
I'll,
would be under the mountain.
I actually
overlay.
don't know if most of my family could live on Peabody.
Right, well-
I don't know how tall. You said how many feet is it?
2,000.
2,000.
That's pretty cool.
I'd like to see the map
Yeah.
about
So-
the mountain overlay.
So let's do those 3 and then consider doing the mountain overlay as an amendment. So that is R3, the VO, and the CO29.
All right, so I will plan to take this to Planning Commission. I should be able to have an elevation map for them by then to take a look at as well, and I'll send that to you. And then you can decide if you want to pursue a work order amendment for that fourth
Right.
MRO.
What's the deadline for us to be able to do that? And
You can do that at any time.
okay, good.
Because, I mean, there may be some thought process with the Mountain Ridge overlay that you just take 151 and say that direction it applies. I don't know, can you do that?
I think so.
I think you can do what you want.
Yeah.
pretty
Well, that said, the state code authorizes the locality to regulate ridgeline development, and they have definitions for that.
Sure.
So it would have to be all
Yeah,
over 2,000 with that 500.
yeah, so if you did like 151 headed west, you know, those mountains, Mountain Ridge overlay potentially. Okay, interesting. Do you need a motion?
I think just consensus is fine.
R3VO CO29. I'm good with it.
Okay. Okay.
I am as well.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you, Dylan. Okay. Like to take a brief recess, and we'll reconvene in 10 minutes.